Netscago to the Zimbe Hansi Igi at A Holzishko A welcome address A Board of Regents Chairperson Sherry Dan Hasilgate Nihich Hadidzi.
Good morning, Yate. She Sharon Turachitni and she Kitlichitni and Shlo Moda tribe Basis Chin Turachitni Dasachi Bilakani Dashanale Ilso Although Ade Eke Hunst, though Ade Shadak Ahullo Hawan Sa'a, though Shalchilla. Ko Ade Jashike ho. Today, it's a special day. 2 areas that is special. One is October. So I'd like to say Happy New Year to all of you. The month of October, in our way, the way, we reflect, we put everything down, and we reflect what we have accomplished. The other one is, it's a special day today. It's the Net College annual meeting. You're going to hear our esteemed the Net College executive team members do a presentation on what the Net College has accomplished, goals and objectives through the Net College strategic planning. We can reflect on all these things that we have accomplished throughout the year. With that, I'd like to welcome each one of you, faculty, students, staff, community members, and also my fellow esteemed Board of Regents of the Net College. Shadeja, Adona Shadeja, Ado Shanale, Ado Shatsile, Ado Shatsi, Hunahasot Hani, Adona Shatsi, Ado Dr. Russell, Shiyaj, Ado Shajeh, Executive Assistant Ms. Michelle Curry, Ado Amaltho, Yat Ehben, Qua Hajoshi, Baisnalt Ado Benachi, Benyan Baidal Kipter, Halit Ila Mansi, Kala Tanusinshi, Quashi, Hajoshi, Mahadon, with that, thank you for being here, and let's move on to the next presentation. Thank you.
Regent Todachitni. I just wanted to mention that we are virtually streaming through various, means of communication. So we actually have live streaming with KXWR Dine College Radio, also on Zoom. Thank you all for being here, and I just wanted to mention there's some fruits in the corner there and some coffee, so go away. And now I wanted to introduce our college president, Charles Monty Russell. He's going to do the State of the College address. So if you want to give him a round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. Let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. My name is, most of you know, Monty Russell. He anin and slip my teeth clan of Scotland, Bashashin, and She, Auto German Chanella. You know, I've been debating whether to bring this up, but after sitting in the back there and actually walking up these 1, 2, 3 steps, they're little steps. They're tiny steps. But they're huge steps for me personally. A year ago at the last annual meeting, after coming out of the pandemic, after being primarily behind the screens, a lot of you saw me for the first time and knew I wasn't well. I had a hard time with these 3 steps. I had a lot of texts when I went down these 3 steps and sat back there from people I knew who saw me. And they thought I was going to trip and fall. And when I took those 3 steps up, I said, that, with my luck, now will be the time I trip and fall. But it means a lot. It means a lot for me to be here, partly because I didn't think I would be. It means a lot because I know I talk about my story and I make it public. Primarily because a lot of you do not talk and share your story. Get that. But you too are dealing with things in your own way. Your family members, your children, your aunts, your uncles, your moms, your dads, your kids. And that's why I share my story. To know that I hear you. Now, when I say the state of the college is strong, I don't mean the walls are strong. I don't mean our programs are strong, though they are. I mean our people are strong, which is all of you. We make the college. And with that said, the state of the college is strong, not because of us, but because of all of us, meaning not us, the administration, not the board, but it's everybody that contributes. And one of the things that we really focus on, and I want to kind of highlight that right now, is this new process that we integrated on our strategic themes. Every voice matters. Every student matters. And I think one of the things that's really important is creating that sense of belonging. And we have a long way to go, but we're getting there. And you get to a destination when you articulate that destination. You don't get anywhere. You think, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. You say, we are going to go here. Come on. And this is why. And so that sense of belonging is important. Everyone belongs here at Dine College, and I want to be even more explicit. I had the really great fortune last week to have breakfast with some staff and some students, and it was very enlightening. And I learned a lot, and we're going to do a lot. We heard you, Regent Small Canyon. We heard you, Student Dalton. We heard you. And we're going to make sure that we address those things. But I also want to be more explicit because something was brought up. When I say everyone belongs, I mean it. If you are LGBTQ+, you belong at Dine College. Period. I'm hearing some disturbing things sometimes, and I want to make it very clear. Everybody belongs here. This college was built. This college was built literally so that all Navajo people had an institution of higher education that they belonged to. It's in the motto, the institution of higher ed for the Navajo people. Remember that. The initial wording of that was the Navajo people. That means everybody. And we have to do a better job as we go forward. But I also like the word becoming. Becoming is powerful and it's strong. To me, it means we're not yet there. We're going there, but we're not yet there. And sometimes it's better to never actually get there. You're always moving forward. You're always building. You're always becoming a better person. We're becoming a better university. We're becoming a leader with the Navajo Nation to how to build a better economy, how to build a better public safety system, healthcare system, education system. That's what this next future of the Net College is looking like. How do we contribute, not just by the individuals, but how do we contribute on a larger scale? Everybody comes to work. Everybody wakes up in the morning with the idea of saying, I want this to be an important day. I want to contribute. And if we do that collectively here, we have 1,836 students this year. Last year, we had 1,549. Imagine 1,836. That's our fall enrollment. There'll be some that'll drop, and then we'll get another couple, 200-300 in the spring. You're talking close to 2,000 students. And if you add in our fall, spring, and summer together, that's 3,876. That's the impact we have. And those people go home, just like these tables. And too bad Malcolm is by himself. But it's a good point to make too. Because some people go home and they're by themselves. There are people around. Some people go home and there's a table full. Some people go home and there's only one. Some people go home and then you need to bring in other tables. But that impact, 3,800 students, now multiplied by 5 at your close home, that's 15,000. Now look at the people that when we go by, what do we have? We have 3, 4, 5, 6 homes around a single home. Now we're talking 45,000, 50,000, 70,000. The impact of one student at our college is huge. Let's not forget that. But the other side of that is the impact of one student who is not listened to, who is forgotten, is also huge. A faculty member not showing up, office hours not being kept, financial aid not being released, the president not returning the phone calls. All of those have an impact. It can be positive, it can be negative. So just like we say on a positive note, our impact is great, it also can be negative. What do we want? What do we want that impact to be? We choose. Every day we choose. Someone comes in and you say, hey, may I help you? You look lost. What can I do to help you? Or we just turn the other way. We make a choice every single day, all of us, 5, 6, 7, 20, 100 times. What do we choose? Becoming better. That's why I love that word, becoming. We're not there yet. We're getting there. We're focused on that. We're moving forward. You know, one of the things I think it's important for us, sometimes we don't really recognize how often we actually get new leadership. And I want to take a second to just kind of mention that. Because we work fast, people move forward, and we just start continuing to move forward. So I want to remind people, right now we have an interim provost, a new person in that role, new ideas, new opportunities. We have a new dean, School of Transformation. New idea being integrated. We have a new director for our external campuses who's bringing life into those outlying facilities that feel forgotten. With Winifred there, they're not forgotten anymore. She picks up a phone and lets me know right away what needs to be done, what isn't being done. That type of leadership. We have a new HR director who's bringing and helping us guide us forward. We have a new director for our New Mexico Teacher Ed program, Kim. Now we're merging with the help of all the other education faculty. On the board, we have new people. We have a new student regent, Jalen Small Canyon, bringing new ideas, not afraid to voice her ideas, her concerns. We have a new staff association membership, Ambria Tolino, a new faculty association membership from the last meeting we held, Barsine Onienda. New people come in, that's what we want. They come in with new ideas. We don't want the same old people there, day in, day out. Yes, there's some continuity and strength there, but a college is about ideas. A college is about ideas, not just the ideas we have in this room, but the challenges. I don't see her right here, but Dr. Britton. My son has taken an art history class. And he came back the other night and he's talking about these things. And art is something that, we really enjoy and have a robust conversation. And he's talking about photographers. They walked in the door, Dad, who are some good photographers you admire? And boom, boom, boom. I said, darn, I should have remembered that. And he's thinking about these things that were brought up in class. He shared with me that in the class they had last night, it went 30 minutes longer because people were sharing their stories, their ideas, their thoughts, their reaction to the literature they're reading, their reaction to the art that they're looking at. Nobody wanted to leave. We've all been in classroom, which is 5 minutes before the time is up. People start zipping up their bags, putting their, and you hear all of that, right? Not last night. Not last night. That's what we want for our college. That thirst for knowledge. That work to say, I want to know more. I want my voice heard. That's what was happening in our classrooms. How do we facilitate that more? I just want to share a couple things that I think are really important as we look about moving forward. Sometimes why you do something is more important than what you do. And right now, some of you have the annual report. It'll be public in a couple of weeks. We just printed some copies out right now. But when you have a chance to look at that, look at those accomplishments. Look at those ideas that faculty had. I want to read a couple of things just so you kind of get an idea. This is some of the ideas of, sorry about that. These are some of the research topics that our faculty are working on, okay? Or some of the areas. Okay. Some of them come from the Economic Development Administration to do a feasibility study on a wool mill. Another is from the Department of Energy Office of Legacy Management, $6 million over 5 years for facility and equipment support. Some of them are for biomedical techniques and training, $1.3 million over 5 years. A technology transfer center, $1 million for 1 year. National Institutes of Food and Agriculture, $950,000 grant. American Indian College Fund, $315,000 grant for student success initiatives. Tribal College Extension Delivery Program, $246,000. Aspen Institute Native Family Futures Fund, $75,000. Luz Foundation, support of Dine College Press, $25,000. Mellon Foundation, 3 years of a fellowship program, $750,000. I could go on. But what do you see about that? Not the dollar figure, but what you see in those titles is it's research and programs that reflect the community, not reflecting the faculty. If you look at a lot of studies, you look at a lot of research across this country, a lot of the research is done for the individual faculty, for tenure, for promotion, for research for the name of research. Our research is different. It reflects what the needs of the community are. That's exciting going forward as we move forward in those areas. One of the things that we're doing just at the end of this month, we're hosting the Department of Defense. Yeah, we're not trying to build missiles or anything like that, but there's an awful lot of research that can be done that we are already experts in. Sustainable foods in an arid climate. That's what's impacting one of the biggest problems facing this all of us, mankind, Earth, everybody. Being able to say, this is what we've learned as Navajo people. Now, how do we scale that to help the rest of the world? They're coming here. They're going to spend 3 days with us, talking to us about how we can provide help and grant and research. Our School of Transformation is in the process of finishing up a grant training program, grant management training program. Every year, every single year, millions upon millions upon millions of dollars are sent back to the federal government or the state government from within the Navajo Nation because money was not spent. It was allocated, but it was not spent. And we had a conversation with President Nygren back when he first got into office. He had a concern. We said we can meet that concern. Within a few months, we started this about a month ago, right? We already have a training program. 20 different offices throughout the Navajo Nation are taking this training program. We have another cohort that's ready to go. This is going to help the Navajo Nation save millions of dollars. And where does that millions of dollars go? It's not back to Window Rock. It goes out to the communities. It goes out to the people. That's what I mean by how we help the Navajo Nation, which in turn helps our families. That's the kind of work that we're doing. That's what we're looking at as we move forward. Facilities. $18 million in 2 years, thanks to the efforts of, I'll say, Senator/Regent Teresa Toffley, for new buildings in Tuba City and our Window Rock Center to provide better services for our students. One of our goals up here is accessibility. We're redefining what accessibility means. It's not just about coming through the door. It's about going to their door. How do we get more people? 1,836. We have a goal for next spring, 2,000 students. Well, what does that mean? It's not just a number. That meant that Vice President Haskell and her team had to process from last year to this year 300 more applicants with the same staff that we have. That work, that means our faculty, which had maybe a few students in it, now have more students in it. Those numbers have an impact. They're the kind of problem you want to have. Instead of every other tribal college except 2, their enrollment's going down. We're not just going up. We have a growth of 18%, 30% over 2 years. Let me say that again. 30% increase in enrollment over 2 years ago. 513 more students. That's huge. ASU has about 100,000 students. If they went from one year to the next with a 30% increase, that would mean they would have an additional 30,000 students. When you start looking at it at scale, you realize how big a deal this really is and how important it is. But what it means is that we need to get together when we talk about the future. How do we create those programs, those facilities that meet that need? That's our job. Students are saying, we trust Dine College. We're coming to Dine College. Now we have to deliver. And I think we're ready. I started this conversation to say, because of you, we are strong. And I end this conversation because of you, our future is strong. And that's what we're here for, is our futures. The students and yours. Some of you come up and say, I started work here and now my child is going to school here. My child was going to school here, then I started work here. So I followed him. But it's important that we remember it's about people. And thank you, all of you, for showing up every day, for working hard, and to make this college as strong as it is. And I say what may make some of you feel uncomfortable with every time I stop speaking. I love you all. Take care. And the state of the college is strong.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Russell. I would also like to take this time to especially thank our students in the audience who have joined us today. Welcome to the annual meeting. There's some food in the back if you wanted to partake in that. And we will move forward on our agenda here. We have the Board of Regent Committee reports. You're allocated 10 minutes, and the remote and clicker is up here that you can use to use the slide presentation. So I invite up to the stage Regent Greg Bigman, Committee Chair for Finance, Audit, and Investment Committee, and VP Bo Lewis for Finance and Administration of the college. Please make your way up.
Ja,这是给多是的，是 Greg Bigman, and she put on in the Shanto Torgini, Bashichin. And beside me here is VP Lewis.
Hello, my name is Bo Lewis, and Kachi in Shanto Torgini, Bashichin, Kaya Ani the Shiche, Sanji Kane the Shanale.
Like President Russell, I feel like you know, an old rock that's been sitting here for a while, you know, particularly when you've been the board chair for 7 years. And the reason why we have these committee reports like this here is because in order for an institution to thrive, they have to know what their core is. What is the foundation in terms of what makes them operate in the inner workings? And one of them here is the finance. So, there's 3 committees that we have: Finance Committee, the Academic and Student Success Committee, and also the Governance Committee. And we have some other committees that work and operate. So being the chair this year, I was really hoping to kind of step back and get my life back. But when I seen that some of these committees weren't moving along in the progress that they needed, I got pulled back in and I was asked to help. So I spent a lot of time cultivating the board members. And we talk about exercising their voice as a leader and how they become more effective as a leader. So with the finance here, one of the key aspects is having financial stability and ensuring that we're operating with a clean audit, operating in terms of making the best investment for the individuals. And the best investment is not the money. The best investment is the people. And how do you start to gravitate towards that in terms of doing that? So over the years, the college has did things like providing a 5% wage increase, improving the retirement program, and finding ways to give more financial flexibility for the executive managers so that way they have a better insight in terms of how they can start to manage their funds. And as a result, we started to migrate from having a zero-based budget to having a hybrid budget where we start to integrate in performance. Because ultimately, the value is that the college can provide is really what the values of is with the employees. And so being able to execute how to create a good sustainable culture within the institution, but also have programs that will help ensure the longevity and the future of the Navajo Nation. So on a broad scale, that's kind of the goals. So, yeah. So the committee here is composed of these members. There's myself as the chairperson, Greg Bigman. There's VP Lewis. There's Glenita Haskey, who's the VP of Student Success. There's Regent Anderson Hosky. There is Regent Amberia Tolino. There's Dr. Russell and Rachelle Leonard, who's the controller. The faculty is the Finance and Investment Audit Committee. They play a key role in terms of being a liaison for the board and really ensuring a lot of the finances, making long-term policies. We reviewed, I think last year, what we did is we updated some policies, financial policies, particularly those that involved procurement. And this was aligned to kind of where we're at now, because the big contracts that we were pushing through in a lot of the federal funds, they were requiring these financial controls to be in place. So as a result of, we're building upon that, we're building upon our success in terms of the finance. It's also monitoring our investments. We get quarterly reviews in terms of where the state of the economy is at, how the college investment is going, and how we can start to position our finances in order to optimize our funds. So when you think about it, when you have money sitting in the bank's making money. So what we decided to do, rather than having all that money sit there, is to invest it, so that way we can have the extra money in order to use. So one example, $100,000, currently the interest rate for money market accounts is about 4.5%. So out of that $100, you're getting $4.50 for every dollar that's invested for that $1. So you multiply that now to millions of dollars. That's something that can help the college now. It can fund another opportunity, another program, or another employee, or provide some type of benefit across the institution. So that's one of the things that the college has been working on, is making sure that we have sustainability on the long term. And ultimately, what we would like to see is having an endowment, where we can continue to provide the gift that will give a lifetime to not only the Navajo people, but, to programs across the institution. And also, lastly, the other one is probably the most important, is having an annual audit process to bring confidence to the people that decide to give us money and saying, you're a responsible institution. You do with your money what you say you're going to do. And I think that's probably the most important message as a Board of Regents. Anything else? Go ahead. These are some highlights of the accomplishment. We have our annual budget, FY22, FY23 approved. And I believe this year we had an increase by 1.2 million. And was that all restricted or unrestricted funds?
Unrestricted.
Unrestricted funds. We also have a clean audit with our financials and our single audit, and that was completed back in July of 2019. We updated our HR policies. We also ensured that our contracts were using, more of it is going to Navajo-owned companies, so providing money back into the community. We also have bi-monthly updates from the Navajo Broadband Alliance. So we're working, 2 years ago, we set up a tower here on Navajo. And so we're trying to get Wi-Fi in the area to improve the connectivity. And I think ultimately we had a goal of using Wi-Fi. Every student is going to have 3 devices. They have their phone, their laptop, and probably some other device in their dorm room or something like that. So the goal is to update the broadband, because that is the future of work and future of education. Approving alternative funding sources for a solar project. So about 3 years ago, we initiated a solar initiative, and I believe they started some of the renovations and capital infrastructure development about a year ago. And so what we're projecting out of that is roughly a savings for the college around 30%, over the utility bills and expenses. And I believe that amounts to
78%.
70% savings.
100% because we're, from the savings that we get from the solar, we're going to use that.
So 100% savings because we're going to use those savings in order to reinvest and buy the things that we need to. And lastly is a quarterly review of Dine College endowments. So I'll have Bo kind of cover the rest here.
Okay, so I'm going to cover some of the financial for the college this year and last year. I'm going to be going between our fiscal year 21-22 and then fiscal year 22-23, and then also talk about this coming fiscal year too, which started a couple days ago. For our financials, we had a positive increase, a net position of 19.1 million, which was an increase from last year of 22%. And last year we had 14.9 million increase. So that was pretty good. And our total asset increased also by 8.6 million from last year. That's at 6%. And then also, we got, like Greg said, we got the budget approved about a week ago for $25.5 million for our fiscal year 22-23. And that was an increase of $1.5 million from last year's budget. And that was due to an increase in enrollment from last year to this year, or from prior year. We're not always right on the same year. We're always like a year behind because of our fiscal year. So that's the reason the increase was because of the BIA funding went up by $1.2 million for this fiscal year. So we're always feeling the effect from prior year. So anyway, so that was what happened. And then DC2 also was awarded $65 million in grants. So that boosted our total budget to $90 million this year. And then, like Greg mentioned too, for our annual audit for 21-22, we got a clean audit. But we also got our single audit. We get two audits. We get the financial audit, and then we also get the single audit. On the single audit, we got 2 findings. That was due to HERF reporting requirements and also debarment requirements that we weren't doing on a consistent basis. But since we're a year behind, we corrected those findings already at this point. And then some of the things that we were able to do this year is we distribute 4,400 laptops to students and 270 Wi-Fi to students too as well. And we also were able to give a 5% and 6% increase to faculty and staff. And we were able to give a couple of incentive payments to staff and faculty as well. And then we also did 100% tuition for students, which covered tuition, books, meals, and lodging. And then one of the major things that we did too is we migrated our student information system to the cloud, and we're gonna be doing a lot more of that kind of transformation this coming year. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we did. There's a lot more I could add, but being that we have 10 minutes, that's all I'm going to cover. So I think the rest coming behind us will cover some more. Thank you.
We will proceed on the agenda. So I would like to invite up to the stage the Academic and Student Success Committee. So we have Regent Greg Bigman as the committee chair, and we also want to invite up Alyssa Landry, interim president. So they will also be sharing a presentation. So if you guys could make your way up to the stage, we can begin that process. So.
Thank you, Winnie. Want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Elisa Landry, and I'm Provost, and I'm here with Regent Bigman to cover our Academic and Student Success Committee.
So, as a board member, when a lot of times you look on the resolutions and board members, they say, you think to yourself, what am I doing as a board member? You know, and the core of an institution here is really about academic services, what we provide, helping students ensuring quality academics. But also another big one here is ensuring the academic freedom for the staff members. Because one of the most dangerous things that can happen to any institution is having undue political influence that could jeopardize the institution and jeopardize potential research that could help our people. So insulating the college from political interference is very, very critical. And this is an important part, you know, of our duty as Board of Regents. But the part that feels most fulfilling as a Board of Regents is to know that we develop, the services that we provide is here in the academic committee. And this is the foundation and the root of the college. So with this committee, we have several members here that compose the committee. Myself as the committee chair, Regent Anderson Hosky as the vice chair, Regent Torticini as the secretary, Regent Small Canyon, who is appointed ex officio as the student representative, and also the Faculty Association president, Regent Oyendo. We also have Dr. this committee. Some of the accomplishments here is Dine College's first venture into doing something that is what somebody would say is not traditionally a part of the our traditional coursework, and that's a solo program. And we saw the opportunity because we saw a lot of institutions out there that were wanting to, you know, to help our people. So we decided with the work of the faculty to approve it. And this was approved by the board, I think maybe about two meetings ago. So maybe 4 months, 4 months ago. The other thing we bestowed upon was probably the most ever in one semester. That was 119 graduates. This year we did something different, and we decided to have a winter graduation in addition to a spring graduation. So if this was our normal graduation, we would see a lot more graduates compared to, I guess, a full year as opposed to just the separated degrees. And then lastly, we have our first cohort with our master's in biology, and I think that's a big step because it shows to the rest of the world that the Dine College is growing, we have master's programs, and that we believe in our people.
So I wanted to talk quickly about the graduates from spring 2023. As you can see on the screen, the top 3 programs are in health, occupation, public health, and business administration, which actually reflects the Arizona statewide trends in higher education. Over the past 3 years, from Arizona's 3 universities, the top programs have consistently been business and public health. I also wanted to just point out that we have the AS in health occupation was 13 graduates, the BS in public health was 13 graduates, and then the AA in business administration was 11 graduates, but not to forget some of the other ones. So we have 7 in pre-engineering, we have 6 each in social and behavioral science, public health, and education. And then way down at the bottom, you see that we have 2 graduates from the BFA in painting and silversmithing. And so not to forget those as well. And then quickly to go over the persistence and retention rates, we have a persistence rate of 61%, retention was 52%, attrition 48%, and then graduation at 18%. So these are the latest numbers from the OIPR.
So one of the things that's not shown on the graph here is that this year, at this past graduation, I was talking to the graduates, we talked to the graduates as they go by. And there was a lot of them in psychology. And when you asked them, what are you going to do next? Almost every single one of those graduates said, I'm going to go and get my master's, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to help my people. So this institution does more in nation building than any other institution out there, than any other company out there, is because we believe in our Navajo people. So one of the models that's important with this is having shared governance. And shared governance is really working with the faculty and the staff. You know, the professoriate program that President has implemented, along with the Faculty Association President and the collaboration, that's shared governance. We talk about that every time we have meetings, you know, within this committee. The other thing is collaborating on one of the things that's very challenging for any institution to talk about, and that's talking about the mental health and the safety of our people, our students. And it's really having that close collaboration with student affairs. But it's also about the advising model that happens. And you go to any institution, what they're going to talk about is the problems that happen with the academics and advisements and how they never collaborate and communicate. You know, we still have the problems, but we're here to talk about it so that way we can resolve these issues. The other thing is addressing the growing reputation of the college. The President talked about that. You know, when people out there see the Net College, they see it as this challenging institution. And they say, oh, that's where you go now, you know, if you're doing good in school because it's challenging. But what we want to have the people know is that this is open, this door is open for everybody. And anybody and everybody out there that want to help their nation and help their people, our doors are open. Addressing the needs of the Navajo Nation, that's both through research, student graduation, and also now with what we're going to be doing with our holding company. And so the trifecta of what the college is going to be able to provide will stem much further compared to any other organization on Navajo. And lastly, is providing a good quality education for our people, knowing that they don't have to leave the reservation because they take care of their grandma, or they want to support their family here on the reservation, because this is where their home's at. Lastly, promoting academic freedom through research aligned with the institutional goals. That's probably one of the most critical foundations here for this institution. And that's ensuring the longevity and survival of Navajo, not only just with our ideas, but also us as people.
So moving forward, we have a number of goals that we wanted to talk about. The first one is to re-envision an academic master plan that addresses long-term course and program planning. This actually represents a new approach to the way that we understand courses, programs, and also planning. An academic master plan will look at how, when, and where we offer courses, and then ask some hard questions. Are we truly student-centered? Are we offering the courses when students need them? Or are we catering to the whims of the faculty? Are we offering the programs students want? Or the programs that the Navajo Nation needs to move forward? If we're not, why not? Are we using data to inform our academic decisions? If the data tells us that students do better in courses taught in person or during evening or weekend hours, are we making decisions that accommodate them? Are we looking at faculty course loads and projected student enrollment and then anticipating the courses needed to avoid that chaos that tends to happen at the beginning of every semester when we're scrambling to add more sections or hire adjunct faculty? So are we doing that kind of advanced planning before the semester starts? And then are our programs sustainable? If not, what can we do to recruit students or to expand the program? So what we're doing is proposing a new academic master plan that addresses these questions and produces hard data that then empowers deans and faculty to make decisions that are really in the best interest of our students. The second goal is to create a data-driven institution through regular and meaningful assessment activities. As we all know, we spent last academic year freaking out for about the first half and then kind of scrambling for the second half because we were worried about that HLC visit and our lack of academic assessment data. We cobbled together data we had and we did present an honest analysis of our assessment process, but it wasn't enough. So the HLC came back and they told us that we had met criterion 4B with concerns once again. So this year we are doubling down on assessment with some very, very specific expectations. The first one is that all faculty will participate in assessment. Number 2, assessment is faculty-driven, meaning that faculty, who are really the experts in the field, are determining the best ways to assess goals and outcomes, and the best ways to incorporate feedback into their curriculum. But there's oversight. The provost office is monitoring progress by giving deans strict deadlines and expecting that all faculty, deans, and academic staff are contributing. My goal here, and Dr. Russell has made this very clear, that as interim provost, my top priority needs to be assessment and making sure that we are meeting the standards and the guidelines of the HLC. So my hope during this first year is to close the loop this year. Maybe we don't entirely close the loop, maybe we don't get all faculty on board, but we will actually show that we close the assessment loop. Next year, we'll do even better. And we are working toward creating a culture of assessment that is college-wide, but also deeply meaningful. So this is something that's going to be embedded in our DNA at Dine College. So we don't have new faculty coming to Dine College and then asking questions about how do I do this? Okay, it's going to be part of the onboarding, and it's going to be part of expectations, and it's going to be part of our meetings on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, so that assessment is part of our DNA, as part of something that we consistently do. The third one is to launch new academic programs based on wants and needs of the Navajo people. So in these conversations, I think it's important to differentiate between the wants and needs. Dean Blackwater, for example, is working to launch our second master's degree program, which will be an MBA. I don't go more than a couple days without hearing from a student or an employee at Dine College who wants to know the status on that program. They all want to be part of that first cohort. So that tells me it is both a want and a need. On the other hand, we have Dean Rexley Jim, who is trying to grow the education department. There are many, many job opportunities in education, but students aren't jumping to sign up for that. So let's have a conversation about why. And then finally, continue bringing faculty back to campus. So we kind of got lax during the pandemic and we let people work from wherever they wanted. We're now having a little bit of a complication trying to get people to want to come back to work. So that's another goal that we have during the next semester or the next year and a half or so, to bring back everybody to campus and have that college family again. And then my last slide is just student demographics. So I wanted to end with this, just the most recent snapshot of where our students are.
Thank you. And one thing I wanted to point out here, that's also very interesting with our data, is that the students that are coming to Dine College now, they're primarily women. So I believe we have roughly around 75% female enrollment. So what that means for the future of Navajo is a changing workforce. And so young, educated women are now going to take the seats as entrepreneurs, as administrators, and as the new leaders within the economy. So thank you.
Thank you very much. You just heard from Dr. Alyssa Landry, interim provost. I want to retract myself because I think during the intro, I accidentally mentioned she was our interim president. She's actually our interim provost. So thank you for that presentation. Now we will move forward to the governance committee. And I would like to invite up to the stage Regent Charissa Hatali, who chairs the committee, and then also VP Gonita Haskey from the Student Affairs Division. So the time is yours. You have 10 minutes. And just as a reminder, the clicker is right here on the podium. So make your way up.
So thank you. And I'll give intro.
Dr. Ashay Gonita Vice President of Student Affairs question on this. Tachini Shlon talk on a bashashin. Likely need to check here on additional.
I chair this awesome committee, I must say that. And I just want to put a disclaimer in place also. As Regent Bigman expressed earlier, I stepped back from doing any type of leadership a year ago because of my responsibilities at the state level but I continue to come and participate in the meetings. But if you look to your agenda, you'll see that Regent Bigman and I have chaired and doing the reporting of a number of the committees, which is largely due to individuals leaving our awesome institution for greener pastures. So I just wanted to make that note. So our governance committee, I am the chair, and then Regent Oniendo Shiteja is the vice chair, and then Regent Tolino, she's the secretary, and then Shiyaj, Dr. Russell, is the president of Dine College. He's our member, and then another member is Shanala, Vice President Lewis, who's within the finance administration, and Shema, Dr. Fowler, Director of HR. So these are our members. The primary purpose of the governance committee is to provide strategic direction, oversight, and ensure compliance in areas providing a competitive employee compensation and benefits package to put emphasis on the path to prosper. I think that's very important to note. To move away from a survivable wage. We all know what that looks like, right? This initiative includes student wages, as you will learn later in the presentation. Other responsibility, and I'll only name two, is research and recommend amendments to university and governing documents. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to Shanella, Vice President Glenita Haskell. Thank you.
So throughout this fiscal year, the governance committee has met 6 times. These meetings take place every other month throughout the year, and you'll see that in Q1 and Q3, the committee met on 2 occasions, and then Q2 and Q4, they met once. In the process of these meetings, we talk about reviewing, recommending, approving, and supporting initiatives across the institution that demonstrates governance between the board, the president, and the employees of the college. With that said, these are some of the annual accomplishments that we have noted. First and foremost is in the capacity of the institutional and employee policies. There was an amendment of the college employee housing policy that took place. They reviewed 6 areas and acted on those 6 areas. So those changes have been implemented. Secondly, in area of governance and compliance, the committee did finalize the college's attorney contract. And third, the president's annual evaluations and the board assessments were completed. In areas of employee opportunities, things that took place to benefit our employees. First was the adjustments of the salary. In areas of the employee compensation, we did demonstrate and improve a 5 to 6% increase for employee compensation. And the second one was moving from a $12 an hour to a $15 an hour compensation for our student employees. The second area is in terms of employee benefits. There was an amendment of the BOK retirement plan. With these amendments, we were able to approve and pass the supplemental retirement plan beyond the basics, and then also implementing a financial wellness plan to demonstrate financial literacy for our employees and also to have better planning for the future after retirement. The third capacity is the employee interest. The committee reviewed and completed and analyzed the employee engagement surveys. And moving forward, for this coming 23-24 fiscal year, We want to express that the committee is, their efforts and their line of work is aligned with the strategic designs. The first one is the quality growth for the Navajo people. It is about serving our student and the community interests and to ensure nation building. The second one is the campus health and wellness. That's about focusing on strengthening and increasing our student and employee engagement in a healthy and well-mannered. The third one is the culture and the environment. We talk about building everything that we do and everything that we focus on, we do it in the best interest of Eshkes-Itla, Ntsahakes, Ahunzen, and the Na'adawo. So with that said, these are the areas that the committee has declared to address and to concentrate on. And all of this is in the areas of better supporting our students and working with them. First one is the institutional priorities, expanding and strengthening the shared governance between the board, the president, and the employees. The next one is the addressing the institutional policies. This is about us revisiting our institutional policies, from the student policies all the way to the human resource policies, and identify those areas of barriers and remove those barriers. And it's all about empowering the identity and the cohesiveness of serving and delivering proper quality services to our students. We're also focusing on improving and sustaining the employee onboarding process. This is a must because we need to improve employees' understanding of their job and their role in serving the institution. What does it mean to work in a higher ed institution, and what are those expectations? We emphasize being student-oriented and student-focused. The next one is achieving a competitive and prosperous employee compensation plan. And I already mentioned that we want to provide an opportunity, an employment opportunity that supports an individual to be prosperous, not just living paycheck to paycheck. In the end, the employee opportunities, we're looking at fiscal responsibilities to ensure and expand that supplemental retirement plan that was mentioned earlier, and then also working on new initiatives with our retirement programs. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you both very much, Akehet. So we will now move forward to the fundraising committee. So if Regent Greg Bigman, Chair Committee, Committee of the Chair, can make his way up. Also, Dr. Russell, President, you will have 10 minutes to provide this presentation. So please make your way, and we will have the slides to reflect.
Thank you, Winnie. I think this is the Tall People Committee, you know. It's always nice standing next to Monty because it always gives me somebody to look up to.
Very funny, very funny. Let me just get this slide going. Do that.
So this committee is fairly new. I believe we started it about 3 years ago with an initiative. And the first year we experimented with it. We raised $50,000. And at that time, we ended up getting a check from Navajo Nation Council with Nate Brown and Delegate Amber Crotty. And they brought over a check, $1,000 to donate. And it was from Oprah Winfrey. And they were very proud, you know, that they provided the money. And they were like, oh my God, you guys just fundraised $50,000. This feels like hardly anything. But every dollar that's provided to us is every dollar that matters. And so today, we're no longer bringing in $50,000, but we're bringing in roughly $1.5 million. And so this committee here is really setting the foundation in terms of how we can start to bring in money that has unrestricted funds. But a lot of it is intended, to really help students, from lowering the tuition costs to helping to remove some of the barriers that the students face, so that way they can focus on what's important, and that's having a quality education. So in this committee, we have myself as the chair, we have Regent Torticini, that's the fundraising, major fundraising chair, and we also have a minor fundraising chair, which is generally an employee. And we also have other committee members, Regent Teresa Hatofley, who's very passionate about the students and does a great deal in terms of fundraising as well. We have President Russell, VP Lewis, Dean Tutt from the academics, and also Sean Frank from the Student Success Committee. And a critical person that's also not listed here is Michelle Curry, who's part of the committee as well. So the purpose of this committee is to really seek alternative money, because when you look at it from the structural standpoint, there's practically billions of dollars that are available out there in the public, and I think it's roughly actually trillions, right? $4.2 trillion, I believe, was the last number I heard. And so majority of the money goes into two pots. One of them is education, and the other one is religious organizations. So that gives Dine College a prime area in terms of how they can start to look for that funding and start bringing that funding into the nation. Second is to seek those sources, so that way we can look for new projects. This could be academic programs, these could be new buildings, new initiatives, to help move the college along and the nation. Fostering new partnerships with donors, and I think that's the fun part that many of us enjoy, going out, getting out of the box, and I guess meeting new people. Also reviewing our campaigns to create greater opportunities for the college. And this is probably the committee that gets to dream about where the college is going to go, dream about what we want to do, and inviting people in so that way we can talk about these dreams and see them happen, with the institution. So next, I'll hand it off to President Russell.
Thank you, Regent Bigman. I think one of the things that's important is to provide context when we talk about the money that we're raising. So a lot of times we think about the golf tournament as the only event or the gala, and we will be having that again. We just had to kind of rethink that. But there are a lot of things that happen. A lot of things that happened 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago that we then are the beneficiaries. For example, last year, not this year, but the end of last year, we received notice of a $1.4 million gift from somebody's estate. Somebody had passed it on. She knew about the college way back in the day, and then she put her gift for after she leaves. But sometimes it's not us. Sometimes we're the beneficiary of presidents and board members that were 30, 40 years ago. And so I think it's important that sometimes what we do today will not be reflected in an annual report, but somebody a long time from now, when Glenada Haskell is president of the college and she has a different board, that they'll be reflecting gifts, things like that. And so I think it's important. Everybody is an opportunity. And so I think the other thing I want to bring up is that we talk about this in fundraising, but we have different campaigns happening all the time. One of the first campaigns that was created when I got here 6.5 years ago was to improve facilities. And our goal at that time, as we talked about, $35 million. We have blown past that in this time. We're coming in on close to $65 million now with the help of Regent Hatofley. Think about that for a second. In the last 6.5 years, really 6 years, we've raised over $65 million for facilities. New buildings, upgraded, all of these different things. So I think we talk about sometimes just fundraising, but we're talking about there's a lot of other things that happen outside of that. I just want to kind of briefly go over some of these data points that I think are really important. 1.5 2.95 raised so far this year. We still have 3 more months. And so we still have the end of year campaigns, things like that, so we're hoping to get to close to 2 million by the end of this year. Last year, we were at 2.1 million. So we got some work to do to get there again, but think about that. So in the past 2 years, we've raised up to $4 million. Okay, and this is unrestricted that we're allowed to use. Right now, what we do is we put it directly into our endowment, and so it raises funds. The point I want to make out here is majority of the funds, 1.2 million of the 1.6 million is unrestricted. And the restricted funds we get are primarily just for scholarships. So it's not really restricted, right? I mean, it's going for a really good purpose. But that money is able to grow. And what we've been able to use is the ARPA funds to help with the tuition grants. So we're not touching these funds. We're letting it grow, the interest grow, so then we can reinvest it in later areas. 87 donors make up that 1.6 million. We get alumni, friends, employees. That's what's really important is that when I saw the list the other day, there are a lot of employees that give to the college through payroll deduction. So I'll make a push right now. If you haven't set up a payroll deduction with the college and you're an employee, give back. $1 goes a long way. $2. Those of you that make a little more, $3. But those are the kinds of things that when we talk to donors, how do any of your employees give? Do any of your board members give? That's the first questions they're asking, right? So here we can say they do. One thing I want to point out in this number down at the lower left, 3,876. I brought it up before. That's the number of tuition grants we have given to students. Think about that. That means we've processed that many tuition grants. Those are scholarship packages for our students. 3,800, almost 3,900. That's really amazing. Every single student here gets one of those. So that's important.
You know, I think one of the hidden benefits of fundraising is it's given the committee members an opportunity to cultivate leadership. And I want to say that I'm really proud of the members because they're very proactive and they engage in a way that they're collaborating with within their departments. So that's a special shout out to Sean Frank for the work he does in bringing in the students and having them being a part of this process. So the leveraging of funds, these are things that are going to be coming alive here in the next few years. And this is because of the holding company that the college is going to be establishing. What's not shown here is, I guess, our desire on how we want to start leveraging more in the future and how we want to create an endowment that could continue to give when all of us are no longer here. And so with that initiative, I think it's something that I have been working on. And it wasn't my idea. It was from years ago, 10 years ago, before I came on board, that they were wanting an endowment. And they have that CHSN fund. And when you go back and you look at that CHSN fund, it went out $554 million to Navajo, the largest settlement ever by a federal government. And they said, what are you going to do with that money? What is Navajo going to do? And the people unanimously said, we want to see it for education. We want to see that investment to our people. And that's what I want to see as a leader. And I'm sure the rest of the board wants to see that as well. So with that desire, we want to have an endowment that will continue to help our Navajo people. And it's an investment into our people. The highlights here with the research, innovation, and practices is that I think you're more familiar with this stuff, President.
I could go into great detail here, but Winifred is on the side over here. I don't know if you can see her. He went like this, 10 fingers, so it means our time is up. But the idea here is this is research that we're doing. But what we want to do, and one of the ideas here is we had research done at the college by a faculty, Alex, and he created the first patent in tribal college history. And now we try to take that to market. So when we talk about research, now what we're also talking about with what's going to happen later today is also looking at how do we take possible research and ideas to market to help build a new economy. What we're just focusing on here is just to kind of give you an idea of the breadth of the research that we're giving, that we have here, and how we then can try to start looking at that in terms of taking ideas to market with the research we have. Last week, I met with Senator Mark Kelly. He popped into a meeting we were having with his staff, and he goes, you're giving some of that money back to faculty, right? He goes, I have a patent when I was at NASA, and nothing ignited me more than going to going to space and everything else, than actually getting a check for my patent. So you better be. So I said, yes. So we will be as we go forward, because I don't want him to make a liar out of me. But this is an idea of how we try to innovate and actually move forward. So here are the goals, but I don't want Winifred to be upset with me. So I will end it here. I think we kind of touched all of these already in different ways. So the goals really, and the thing is, and I think one of the things that Regent Bigman said early on is, it's really not about the amount of money we raise. I mean, it is kind of course, because if we had zero, I wouldn't be up here. We would not have it. But it's really about the effort and getting the word out and the partnerships and the friends and all of that that we lay the foundation for. That's the most important thing. And then you try to receive that. The $1.5 million that we got pledged was because of personal relationships that we built over the last 3 years. So it's donors like that that have given, and they want to give more. So it's really about the relationships. The other part is all of you can be a part of fundraising. All of you. You get, when you talk highly of the college, that helps us. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you both. Dr. Russell, I believe you're also co-presenting, so if you want to stay up here. I'm going to invite up the Business Development Ad Hoc opportunity for them to present, and the chair is Regent Hatahi, and also Dr. Russell, who is our president.
Yeah, no, that's a. Thank you again. I chair this. This is another awesome committee, and I want to thank all of our committee members. Regent Bigman being the vice, and then our Michelle Kerr being the executive assistant is our secretary, and then also our members is Shiaj, Dr. Russell, and then Shada Regent Todachitni are the members of this committee. And so this ad hoc committee is actually fairly new. And the purpose of the committee is to provide direction, oversight, and compliance. And then just 2 things I'll share with you on responsibilities is the business opportunities, to explore it, and then to bring it to the college for the sustainability for Dine College. And many of these ventures, basically the primary goal is the fiscal responsibility. As you know, money is what drives the institution so that we can provide education to our students. And then also to ensure that students graduate, they can receive their certificates, their associate, their undergrad, as well as their graduate degrees here at Dine College, debt-free. That's our goal. And then also the competitive tuition and academics program. As you know, I graduated from NAU, and I can safely say that it does not compare to the tuition here at Dine College. So with that, that's a recruitment effort. Send your kids to us. And again, I want to say yat to Shanat Thank you very much for being here. This also is a pitch, if you haven't heard it already. We're looking forward to making sure that we communicate so that you will understand the need for an endowment, the investment in our higher institutions for our students and our nation. So with that, I just want to mention that our forefathers have provided a mission and a vision for us. More than 50 years ago, and even farther than that. And so when Hacheshin Hastin Hajini Yehadri Yezad Edo Badadati Kata. That's what he said. Ebenachi Enaz Ilit Kinaz Other Eya Ina Enas It we need. And so that's a mission and a vision, if I have ever heard one, to ensure the growth for the and then for today and for tomorrow, to preserve, perpetuate, and foster and ensure that Dine Baza continues our education and livelihood. The teachings of Ntsakes Nahat A'ina Sihasen Ayo Otnet Ado A Otla. The work we do ensures Sihasen, and then also in providing the sustainability for Dine College so that we can go forward. So in a nutshell, that's all I will share, but I also want to add today that it is an honor and a privilege to announce the birth of Sihasen Holdings today. So we are on the cusp of that birth because in the meeting that will follow this will actually be the time that we will approve Sihasen Holdings. Sihasen Holdings would be an entity in which Dine College will be the sole shareholder, and then will also be the sole beneficiary for the fiscal sustainability of the college. So that's what I wanted to share, and thank you very much for your attendance, and I give the floor to Shiaj Dr. Russell.
This is really exciting. And I think what I want to do is just kind of bring some context to it in terms of primarily talking about the ad hoc committee. We'll be able to talk a little bit more about, the actual holding company, but what are we looking to do? When we talk about increasing, trying to think, Winifred here, I want to make sure I don't, okay, all right, okay. When we talk about opportunities, a lot of times what we think about is just new academic programs. That's not always it. One of the challenges we have with our students to be successful is childcare, transportation. So it's creating programs that meet the needs of the students to be successful, not necessarily saying, oh, we want to build this new building. Sometimes that's important. But I think what it does is it gives us flexibility. It was kind of alluded to earlier by Regina Toffley, the idea of money. You need the money to build the programs. What you see in higher ed right now, though, is a narrowing, right? Look at what you see happening in Florida. It's a narrowing of curriculum. Now, will that come to us? We don't know. Nobody thought they'd be banning books in America, yet we're banning books in America. So in order to make sure that we don't have that type of influence, we need to make sure that we are sound fiscally, that we have alternative sources of funding, so we can withstand that type of pressure if indeed that happens. We're right now working with the state of New Mexico to try to get programmatic funding. The first thing they said when we met with the committee last week, do you really want us to come over and have oversight? Because, when somebody gives you money, they also are saying, this is what you must do for it. So that's the trade-off. So when we're able to develop and create Opportunities like the wool mill, like the DC press, like the stuff we're doing with our silversmithing and weaving in the BA programs there. When we're able to take those ideas and say, okay, here's a way for our students to trademark, copyright, take ideas to market, that builds the Navajo Nation economy. The change in the conversation we're having now is that in the past, you've heard me say it's very transactional. Someone comes, Tim comes, gets a degree, gets a job. That was the job of Navajo Community College. Not anymore. Now we're talking about what kind of job is Tim getting? You know what? Let's create a new type of economic development that meets the needs of the Navajo Nation, not the forces that come from outside in, but how do we build it internally out? That's what the ad hoc committee is able to do. How do we take what we do on one hand, which is the Net College, the needs of the Navajo Nation on another hand, and think about it. 50 years ago, more than that, probably 70 years ago, we were an agriculture economy. In the 50s, we started transferring to a cold economy. What are we now? You ask 100 people, you get 100 different answers. So in that void, that's where a college comes in. We talk about ideas. This is an idea that then has an impact that then can influence the economic future of the Navajo Nation. Not as somebody in the back seat, but we're in the driver's seat. And that's what this allows us to do. And that's what we'll be doing in a few minutes. And I will stop there for the Winnipers behind me.
So thank you. So thank you for listening and also engaging in the presentations that were provided by the various committees with representation from the Board of Regents of our college. We're very thankful for this conversation. And I'm up here as your MC, and I have a job that Miss Jasmine Martinez gave me to stay within time frame. So I'm the middleman, Dr. Russell. And I wanted to give her a special thank you and a hehat because her team has worked hard to make this a successful event. Right now, we're going to actually shift gears into the stakeholder voices. At this moment in time, we are actually joined by one of our honorable leaders within the Navajo Nation, and I wanted to introduce Dr. Andy Nez, who's been a supporter of the Net College, and he is given the opportunity to comment on some of the presentations that were shared today. So we would like to hear from you. If it does indeed become a question specifically for the committee that you're representing, I'm not sure if there's a wireless mic over here, but we also have a mic set up as well. So, if it becomes a Q&A situation, we want to have someone from the committee also answer the questions, but if it's merely comments, then it will be comments. So we'll give the time to you, Dr. Nez, and thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Yat Apen. My name is Andy Nez. Ado oka ainsle. Ado todini apashishim katini hte ado ashishnala. Ado anle sahot sodo khushishko na konshiko etli yasitra. Dahojne ade jishikedo ade ish. Eko akishmato shmakash masaniya e. Daho. Did go a art out so to go tajin hot dog is the halia a art shije. Yeah, do shinalaka ya a do kid hat in there do shia how ado. So I come from Defiance, Arizona, physically in the state of New Mexico. That's where my matriarch is from. My patriarch comes from Blue Canyon, which is just west of Fort Defiance. I currently sit on the 25th Navajo Nation Council, e ko eki peshpatas an e ko eki natin shlapani kliniki e ko eki at khasada aro khatnas liki persona shisho a ko at south sordo ni hije tonel seledo be kashti ko ya Dr. Russell aro ade and asmo kliniki at the board of regents aro kone our chairs in whatever capacity you have and influence that you have to the next college here in Sago on Hinanish that is the Ado she that ko Hinanish atal on Bas at the Noslo Ado she also at the Nosiniki Quaki here Han so Credo Quaki to be able to listen in. I do serve on the Health Education Human Services Committee Bristol and Red Lake, and wonderful communities just north of the nation's capital. So I'm very happy to be serving in this position. I enjoy every second of it. It's been great so far, and I look forward to doing more monumental things within the next few years. So yeah, and thank you to the presentations that have been expressed this morning. Growing up, I've always saw the Net College as the epitome of our language and of our culture. And it's a great institution that I've come to have so much pride for. I even actually tried to apply here for a teaching position that didn't go the direction I wanted it to, but I'm just very happy that it continues, and I still continue to see my space in somehow being affectionate to our great institution here. So I admire you so much. You have a supporter on the council floor. There are many times that I've met with the administration, the team, Crystal, and just doing what I can to be educated about our institution, but also to be an advocate across our great state of Arizona, across the Navajo Nation, and as well as nationally. I do support forward funding. I've spoke to many of our senators, U.S. senators and representatives about the importance of tribal colleges. So I speak highly of you as I'm out there advocating on behalf of education. I currently hold a teacher's license in the state of New Mexico. I taught kindergarten through 5th grade. And so education is just very dear to me, working with our children in that way. So thank you for the work that you do. I don't have any specific questions, although I did want just to highlight some areas. As you were going through your committees, I noticed that a lot of them, that there's no student representation. Perhaps that's something that the committees can also begin to place into such committees as you continue to do your work. Also, maybe this can be a side conversation or somebody can address it, but I know that the Net College was working towards a press again to be able to generate their own press. And I think that would be a great opportunity for our TCU to advance, because I know that Kuroshinale, Honorable Rex Lee Jim has done some monumental work in the press industry and being able to support our growing authors and writers. I currently also have read a number of work that your staff has contributed to such a book. And so education to the 21st century methods, Ade oltka atanotliniki kwaeki hashin sogo binda out aho abits adon hialchinen so ken lini. They're being able to assume all of that and being able to put our place back into not only classrooms but into communities, because classrooms aren't the only place where we assume education. And so it's within our family, within our homes, within our communities, and it's really great. During the budget season, I worked on, there were several different initiatives that I was talking with the Department of Education. And one of those initiatives was to do a government textbook, because a lot of our students yearn to be able to be eligible for the Chief Manolito Scholar. And so when the budget season came up, I threw that 172,500 as a phase one for that. And very happy that has passed and has been signed into law. And a lot of those contributing authors will be able to learn from what not only Dine College, but to be able to contribute to such a book for our students to learn and engage. So there's just a lot to say about Dine College and the work that's been being done here. And I continue to be, like I said, an advocate for our communities here. For all of your respective positions, your advocacy, And thank you so much, for this time.
I'm not sure if any of the committee members would like to make comments to any of the words that were shared from Dr. Nez. I think we're to conclude our stakeholder conversation at this moment. So as a fun activity, we included the activity of raffle tickets. So it's a common theme in our college. So also, if anyone else would like to speak, that is also very doable. So if you're still thinking about whether to speak or not, I'm going to do one ticket. So pull out your green ticket. It's a filler, and you just raise your hand and make your way up here if you would like to share some comments. So the ticket number is 143654. Oh, I'm just kidding. It's the wrong number. The ticket's kind of faded. 143664. Either that or I'm getting old and my eyes are not good anymore. Okay, cool. It looks like Brian from the IT department is the winner up in the corner. So if you want to give him his prize. Now, circling back to public comments, stakeholder comments, do we have any at this moment in time? Great. So we'll move on to our next ticket. So it's a backpack with the Dine College logo and a windshield visor. So if you're in town, you can advertise for Dine College or at a ceremony. 143654. Who's the lucky winner? 143654. Going once, twice, thrice, you're out. So we'll redraw again. So the ticket is 143658. What happened? Everybody leave? Oh, it's Patrick. Disqualify. Okay, so that's winner number 2. So we have 2 more prizes. 143641. Number is 143641. Oh, over here, Nanaba from the museum. And our very last, this is your final chance. 143657. 143657. It's Shanola Dean Jim. It's the hour of the deans. Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our annual meeting. Thank you all for attending. We appreciate your attention, and we also appreciate all the presentations that were shared. You did a phenomenal job, even though I was there really pushing with the time frame. That's just one of our standards, is to keep the presentations under 10 minutes. For all the virtual listeners on radio and also on Zoom, have a great day, and thank you.
Trustee